Hey guys, what's up? It's Crowded here with a little bit of a banlist video, more or less discussing my opinions on the banlist, what we're going to be seeing in a couple, probably 2 weeks now more or less, and just what you can probably expect to see. Again, you guys know I'm an advocate for not having a ban list, but more so an unlimited list, so I'm definitely going to be talking about that aspect of things, but also what could get hit if things were to get hit. And again, this is my opinion as someone who does think like, hey, we're not having sanctioned events, and the online format doesn't technically count. If you're not happy with a deck online, unfortunately that's not Konami's fault. You're playing in a format that doesn't exist to them. But guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to let me know if you liked the video down in the comment section below, if you agreed with my list, if you didn't agree, and also if you didn't like the video, let me know why. I always love to hear your guys' opinions. But let's go ahead and start off with the current ban list. I think that Astrograph, Double Iris, or Electromite, even potentially Joker, one of those four could go back to 1 or higher on, just the list. I think that right now Pendulum is in a place where it's not really overperforming, it's not really underperforming, it's not really doing much, it's just there. And you do still have to know about it, you still need to play around it if, it comes to a place where you have to play against them. But they're just kind of falling out of favor. There's just everything that's a lot faster, a little bit better to do. And while, yes, they can put up like 45 negates, they can get stopped a lot more easily than something like Dragon Link or Emancipators with their 40 extenders, But I think like out of the four, I would see Double Iris potentially coming back. Maybe one Electromite. I think Astrograph even at 1 is still a very powerful card. I think that, Joker can also be abused at times. But I think Electromite to 1, like you give the decks options, the most you're getting is just a free search and a pop. And again, if you Veiler Impermanence or anything, and it just doesn't do anything. Now again, that could be said about a lot of cards, but personally that's my opinion on, the pendulum aspect of things. There's not a lot else, that I think Konami can go a very experimental route with this ban list, kind of just give us a lot more than what we expected, because why not? There's no format, we're not playing in sanctioned events, give the players some, ability to test and experiment with the format. I honestly think Masterpiece, as much as I hate him, can come back to 1. Draco really got hit in the last ban list, well, a couple ban lists ago, with Cardomize going to 1 and Diagram going back to 1. It really hurt the deck. They kind of can't perform as well anymore. They're just a pure stun option, nothing else. And at that point, it's like, why would you play Draco as opposed to like anything else in the game? And I also think it can go back to 1. Yes, it's a pain in the ass. Trust me, I hate Masterpiece. But considering we're probably all going to be playing Kaijus with Dragoon coming out in a week, it doesn't hurt. Like, we can just Kaiju over the Masterpiece, it's fine. I think that, unfortunately, if you're playing Kaijus in the format, there's something wrong in the format. Because it just means like, hey, you have to play this dead card half the time because your opponent just has something that's too good. Example, Dragoon, like I mentioned, and Masterpiece. But I think like, hey, with Dragoon in the format and Masterpiece in the format, why not? It's weird, I know, it's weird, but that's just my rationale. Why not? Just give Draco something. We all hate them for all the back row that they're playing, but I think that sometimes you can give them a little cake, like here you go, you kind of suffered the last couple of months. Now, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this because I know that a lot of people like and hate this card. Maxi can go back to 3. Again, we're gonna go into an experimental format in my opinion. I don't see Konami hitting anything besides maybe 1 or 2 cards, if even that. But then they acknowledge a whole online format, and that's to be mentioned and said afterwards. But I think Maxi to 3, I know a lot of people hate it, but why not? It's literally the perfect counter for their current game. Emancipators won't get hit if Maxi gets back to 3 because, number 1, Emancipator Spectral Summon like no tomorrow. You'll draw your deck at that point. Like, you will literally have half your deck in your hand. Eldritch, same thing. The Synchro variant just won't be optimal anymore to play because now you're just giving your opponent all these resources. Even the Invoke variant, right? You're summoning Almirage, you're summoning Secure Gardener, and then you're summoning Makaba. That's literally 3 draws your opponent's getting, assuming you're not even using the Golden Lord. They're just not an optimal way. And this is a way that I think, like, if you bring Maxi back to 3, Konami doesn't need to worry about hitting Emancipators or Eldritch or Dragon Link or anything, right? Because at that point, the whole game state becomes, hey, I just don't want to special summon as much anymore. And that kind of gives your opponent an advantage, right? And it's good, because now they don't have to hit Block Dragon, they don't have to hit, like, Needle Fiber, even though they should sooner or later. I just think that right now, hey, give the players something to play with. Maxi we haven't had in a while, like I think 2 years we had it limited. and give it back to 3, see what happens. You don't like it, just hit it on the December or January ban list. It's not like we're playing anytime soon anyways. So I think Max C can come back to 3. If it works, it stays. If it doesn't, then just hit it on the next list. It literally doesn't hurt us. We don't have sanctioned events. We're not seeing sanctioned events until next year. There's almost no likelihood of that. Moving on, I think Harp Horror can go back to 1. I think 2 and 3 is a bit too strong. I think at 1 you're fine. Like if they caught by the Gravy, DD Crow, just something, they can recur it, sure, but it does slow them down. Now, Orchist Dragoon is a very strong deck in OCG, just because of how consistent it is. Now, the counters to us here in the TCGs, obviously, we don't have Max C, so they kind of flourish from that. We do have Eldritch and Emancipators at full power, but I also think, like, we have Super Poly. I know it's weird, they have Super Poly too, but we have it at 3. They have it at 2 if I recall correctly, which I'm pretty sure I am. So that way we could just have fun and keep polying it into Venom. Like, literally, that's just a pure counter to Orchis. Just, they're all dark monster based. And they also are all machine based. Like, there's several ways to counter the whole deck. Now, I think that this one is an iffy one because, again, like I mentioned, it's a very overpowered deck in OCG. But again, they have different cards and a slower format. TCG is a much faster format with a lot more going on. So I'm not too sure how that's going to go personally, but, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say, like, if it comes back to 1, Orchis is back in the meta. Because I do feel like it's an instinctive counter to Eldritch, personally, and also, like, you know, Shadal's, it was kind of like counter to them in a way. So not much else in terms of monsters. I think Master Plan can go back to 1. I know it's weird. I'm bringing back all these cards that just got hit recently or just should not be back in the game. But give Spyros back Master Plan to 1. I don't think the deck will be as good as it is in, you know, back in March when we had, well, back in February probably. And again, if we get Max C, this literally counters itself. Spirals cannot play in a format with Max C. They special summon just too much. Max C literally makes it so the next ban list is like, here, have fun, do what you want, but don't special summon crazy boards like you've been because you're gonna lose because of it. That's it for normal monsters. I don't really think like any of the Dragon Rulers should come back. I know some people want the Fire one, or I believe it's the Fire one, to come back. I don't think it should. Keep it hit. Moving on to fusions, I think Colossus can go back to 1. I'm not the biggest Thunder Drag fan. I play Invoke. The problem here is that I can't search my Alistair or my Invocation. However, I think Colossus is a natural counter to Emancipators as well as Eldritch. Now, is it like the end-all be-all one card you can't play anymore? No. But it stops Block Dragon from being useful. It stops Eldritch from searching out the Golden Boy every time. Like, it's a natural counter that passively counters. We don't have Mind Control at 3 anymore. We don't have Instant Fusion at 3. We don't have these luxuries to take away Colossus as easily now, which is a problem, but at the same time, it gives Thunder Dragon players enough to play the game. And it makes it so that these tier 1 decks in the current format are getting competition. These older decks are strong and the newer decks are strong. When you have this Titan clash, Konami doesn't need to go and ban Block Dragon and Needle Fiber. It kind of gives us luxuries here. That's kind of it in terms of fusions, just Colossus back to 1. I don't think any of the links should come back except maybe Rusty Bardiche. There's some kind of talk about it. It's a strong card. You do have to run the Phantom Knight engine. I don't think any deck can really utilize it right now besides maybe like Orchist and BA. But again, you give these two decks that aren't doing anything some kind of like, here you go, here's a little bit of a cake. Enjoy. Do your thing. I think it's fine. Is it going to be abused in like Eldritch and Emancipators? No, it's just the conditions to make it just aren't within those decks' favors. And give it to other decks, it's like, cool, now we have 5 decks that are in tier 1 format. Congrats, like, you have more competition in the format. That's what we need, that's what we're looking for. I don't think any of the Synchro should get unbanned. In terms of XCs, I honestly think Mirage Stallion can go back to 1. I know a lot of people are like, but why Salad? They're always so consistent and good. Easy. Salad is a great deck, but Mirage Stallion was its own counter. While yes, you extended your plays, you didn't have all this, access to these, nice links of the code talkers. Access code talker will no longer be a very viable strategy for Salmon Grid if they choose to do Mirage Stallion. Why? They're locked into fires. They're restricting themselves from a bigger and stronger board state, in my opinion. That's just me though. I think go back to 1, give Salad something, give them the option if they want to do the access code play or the Mirage Stallion play, again, give these decks that are just kind of sitting in the back row some kind of life to, again, fuel the format. Give it some, some power, right? Don't give us these 3 decks and only these 3 decks. Make it so that we have like 8 or 9 or 10 decks in the format that are good. And that's something that, again, Konami has the whole potential to experiment with the format. We have no sanctioned events. It literally is a free territory. Moving down to spell cards, I think that almost nothing should come off except for 2 cards. One of them is Harpy's Feather Duster. I think we've had Lightning Storm long enough. Give us 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. We have 1 Raigeki, right? It doesn't really hurt. I don't think Raigeki should get off the list, by the way. I think Raigeki is just still a little bit too strong at 3. Because again, you're just getting free board removal, and that's a little bit too strong sometimes. It's a 1 for 1+, I would say. Now, in terms of Sky Strikers, I know people are going to be very iffy on this one. I think Engage can go back to 1. Give Sky Strikers something to play with. The deck will not become an engine like it used to be, because again, right now in the format, it's not like Kagari plus a token equals Needle Fiber. They're not tuners. And I think there's better 1-card tuner engines to get out to Needle Fiber rather than playing 1 Engage and 1 Hornet Drones when most of these decks are only playing like a handful of spell cards. You're not utilizing the whole draw effect. This allows Sky Strikers to, again, creep into the meta. They have 3 Kagari. 1 Engage is perfectly fine for them. Yes, they'll recur it here and there, but we still have DD Crow and just things to just snipe it from the graveyard. There's ways to stop it. And I think, and I know this is going to probably give me the most flack, Spellbook of Judgment can come back to 1. Do I think spellbooks are going to be great again? Probably not. They have a very long grind game to even play the game out. So I think give them 1 Judgment. What's going to happen in reality? They're going to be kind of like that tier 2 deck in the background that sometimes wins. Again, it's fine. I think Spellbook of Judgment can go back to 1. It's a strong card, yes. In the current format and even the previous format, not really. Moving on, Vanity's Emptiness, I think can go back to 1. Follow the OCG's step on this one. Doesn't really hurt, it's pretty easy to get rid of nowadays. And that's it for the banned cards that should come off the list to a number between 1 and 3. More than likely, these are all 1s, in my opinion. So, moving on to the limited section, I don't think a lot can change. I think Searing Graph could potentially go to 2. Give BA something to kind of do. BA has been that deck that's always been good and should always hit Dante, but like, it does something for a little bit and then just disappears, right? It's not a consistent enough deck. It is good, but it relies on mills a lot of the time. Kind of like how Lightsworn is a good deck in theory, but again, it doesn't perform because you're kind of relying a little bit on RNG as well. And also just impermanence on Rhino and BA kind of dies, if we're being honest. And that's it in terms of that. I don't think there's anything else in terms of the limited list that should come off. I think it's pretty good where it is. Just taking a quick look. I'm going through the whole list on my end just to make sure. I think, oh yeah, ABC, Buster Dragon, and Totally Awesome, they can go back to 3. They're doing literally nothing. I even think Ignister Prominence of the Blaster Draco Slayer can go back to 3. It's doing nothing. Again, it's a good card, and while at 3 it's a strong card, I don't see it being played as much considering there's better options out there right now. That's my opinion though. Obviously if you guys disagree, by all means, but I think those 3 cards can go back to 3. They just do nothing. I don't think anything else in terms of this. I'm just going through the one-ofs really quickly. In terms of spells, I think everything's pretty fair here. Oh, I think Scape can go back to 3. Scapegoat is a strong card. It's a good card, but it kind of just dies to like 3 things in the format, which is Ultimate Conductor, Tyranno, Purgatrio, and Nibiru. Yes, because if you activate Scapegoat, you can't activate Nibiru, so you're kind of restricting yourself there. And just overall, no deck can really optimally use Scapegoat right now because it just takes too long to set up. Like Trickstars, I guess, but I'm not saying bring back Light Stage to 3. Light Stage is too strong at 3 until we get a hit on Dragoon, because we don't want that free 1-card engine to give us into a Dragoon. Well, in terms of Anaconda, I know Sekka's Light might be something to consider at 3. When Sekka's Light is in the format, Mystic Mine is a natural counter that just kind of just automatically wins, because then you know your opponent has no back row hate and they just deck out. So I think maybe Sekka's can go back to 3. This one's I'm iffy on, but I think 3 is fine personally. Just give like BA monster spam and Emancipator monster spam something. But again, Mystic Mine slaps on the field, they lose. They literally lose. That one's kind of iffy again because Emancipator is in the format. There have been builds with Emancipators, so probably not. I think that's about it in terms of trap cards. Yeah, no trap cards that I would bring back to higher numbers. Red Reboot maybe. Red Reboot is a strong card, so I don't know, that one's kind of iffy. I think given that we're in a kind of trappish format, given Eldritch, Red Reboot to 3 is fine. It's a shutdown, but they still have other things to do. So maybe, but we have to see about that one. I think Red Reboot for now can stay at 1, but if it's at 3, I wouldn't be upset. Semi-limit, Widow Anchor and Torghast can go to 3. This has been no surprise. Mally should be the only card on the semi-limit list at 2 right now. Maybe Widow Anchor if Engage goes back to 1, but I think again it's fine. I'm not too pressed about that one. And that's it in terms of the list right now. Now in terms of what I would ban, pretty simple. If I had to ban something, Block Dragon is one, really strong card. I think I would just get rid of Needle Fiber off the bat or Halifabrax. Yes, it's a new card. Yes, it's a strong card. Yes, we still have Link Cross, of Phantom Lion, well, Lion, and all those cards still in the format. But Needle Fiber is the one card that pretty much does so much. It gets you an O-Lion or a Tuner on the field, and you link it out into a Link Cross. Link Cross is a problem, but Needle Fiber is a bigger problem. And again, it's a very simple fix. You kind of shut down majority of the meta decks. In terms of Dragon Link, I don't know what I would hit in that deck because it does a lot for very little. So that one I would need to do a bit more studying on, to be honest with you. But Dragon Link is kind of iffy. It's always there. It does a lot. So again, that one I'm not sure. I'm not gonna tell you guys I know for a fact. I do think that unfortunately the Invoke engine maybe won't really. If you hit Needle Fiber, Invoke becomes a substitute engine. If that's the case, if they do hit Needle Fiber, I think that Invoke should get Meltdown to 1, kill the consistency a little bit. Again, coming from an Invoke player, that kind of hurts. But again, I can't see much else in the format that really needs to get hit. Eldritch would need to get some kind of tap on the back, probably into, what was he called? Sanguine, was it? I believe it was called Sanguine. The trap card that just special summons him for free, if I recall right. Like that's pretty strong. Block Dragon will inherently hit Emancipators, and I think that's kind of it. Like, the format doesn't really need a lot to change. And, you know, by hitting Meltdown, you're hitting Dragoon, or sorry, not Dragoon, you're hitting, what you call it, Dogmatica, and you're hitting Eldritch Invoke, if that becomes a thing again. And again, that's my opinion, guys. Kind of not a very long video, just wanted to showcase that, let you guys know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. If you agree, if you disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. And what is your predicted hits, if we're gonna have a ban list or not. So thank you guys for watching, and take care.